Okay, there we go. So hi, we're here about 5 minutes early, and I just want to welcome everyone. I'm Marisa, and this is Sherry.
Hi.
Well, we'd love for you to say hello in the chat bar. The chat bar is below. It's on the bottom bar, and if you don't see it, click that little 3 dots, and you'll see it will expand, and you'll see the chat feature. So here we do two-way trainings. That means we want to engage with you. We don't want to just talk at you, because we customize the workshop for you. So, we really appreciate the engagement.
Yeah. Help us warm up that chat bar. Tell us your first name and the ages and genders of your kids. And as Marisa said, we're going to customize whatever you guys tell us. That's what some of the examples and things we'll draw upon.
So again, two-way training. So let us know your name and your kids, the ages of your kids and your genders. And that will help us customize this to be most helpful to you. And we really appreciate it. If you're too shy and don't feel like it, we understand, but you'll get more out of this if you also engage with us. So anyway, hopefully, look at that. Oh my gosh, I forgot to open the chat.
Let's open the chat, or I could just say, hey, Marisa, can you open the chat bar so we can see everybody?
Chat, yes. And I don't know. Awesome. Oh, there it is. No, it's right in the middle of the screen. That's cool. Okay, let me pull that over. That was fun. All right, then. Let's get this party started.
You ready to get started?
Yep. So welcome to our workshop, how to get your kids off screens without nagging, screaming, or fighting. We're at 3 counterintuitive truths for the screen age. So if you're just joining, welcome. And we wanted to let you know we do a two-way training, so we really want to hear from you. Type your name, your child's ages, and their genders in the chat bar if you would. And that way we can customize the workshop for you. So let's get this party started.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know us, we are Marisa Harrison and I am Sherry Burnett, and we come to this topic of kids and screens as 2 moms. We've lived through this experience dealing with the kids and screens firsthand, upfront, and personal.
Yeah, and we're parenting coaches. So we started with an area that we know best. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but screens and kids. We've been working on this for years. And we've done so, and we think we've kind of cracked the code on how to take back control of technology and prepare those kids for the future. So we spent years helping other parents, testing it in our own families, and we are thrilled to now be able to bring it to many more people here online.
That's right. And we just want to commend all of you for being here. It's such an important topic and so timely today. And we just want to say it's up to the parents. It's not up to your schools. It's not up to your churches or your temples to educate your kids. And it's definitely not up to those tech giants to take this on and to take back control of technology with your kids in mind. We want to help you build a framework to be your child's, let's say, digital mentor, right? We want to give you a plan that works for you, even when you're having one of those bad days. Does anybody, we all have bad days, right? So when you have the bad days, you know how it feels where your kids, they just trigger you and you just instantly just react, right? Type me in the chat bar if you feel like that today or really any day.
Me.
Yep, me.
Indeed.
Big time.
Indeed.
Thanks for your responses. So we're going to flip that. So you go first.
Oh, okay. So if you're trying, so now a few little housekeeping items. If you're trying to multitask, don't. I've tried it. You want to get the value out of your time in this webinar and the information. And multitasking simply doesn't work. It's proven. Okay, so I've tried it. So if you're cooking dinner or you've got something else open and you're trying to do this, get the value from this webinar while you have a million tabs open, or you have kids home you're trying to service, then, log on another time. We'll do this webinar again. But if you are going to be here, hopefully you'll commit to being here and taking some notes. So thanks.
Yeah, we highly encourage you to take notes, and notes by hand is especially important. Taking notes by hand allows you to put the information into your long-term memory. Studies have proven that we lose 40% of the information that we hear alone. So take those notes by hand and you will retain and retrieve almost 100% of the information, right? And speaking of all of these benefits, if you stick with us today to the very end, we have a surprise for you.
Yeah, we'll figure that slide out. We'll figure that slide out. Okay. So
goals for our workshop today. Let's cover them. We want to spare you the agony of trying to do this by yourself like we did, right? That's no good, and we want to help you. 2, we want to reveal the tool to help you balance tech in your home for the long haul. And lastly, we want to show you the way to bring sanity back to your home and cut to the front of the line.
Super. Yeah, stick around. So is this webinar or is this workshop for you? Well, have you seen the way tech affects the kids around you that you influence in your life? Have you ever had to pry an iPad out of the sweaty palms of a young person, or get a kid to turn off their phone and their chat while they're doing homework? Have you seen the way it changes their behavior and the meltdowns and the crabbiness? So whether you're a mom or a dad or a grandpa or an aunt, uncle, babysitter, educator, therapist, yes, this is for you. And in this workshop, we're going to refer to all of those influencers as parents, just for ease of use.
So we want you guys to tell us, what's your top struggle with kids and screens? And let's go ahead and utilize chat now. And while you're thinking about that, just as a reminder, this is a two-way training. You can be real. There's nothing we haven't heard or experienced ourselves that you're going to come up with. And this is a judge-free zone. We have zero tolerance for parent shaming. So if none of that is going to happen, so you can be real. And if you're shy, just share what you're comfortable sharing, okay? And if you haven't used that chat feature before, just look at your toolbox. You should see a chat box. If you click on it, your chat box will open and you can type in the message. If you don't see that chat button, just go ahead and click on those 3 dots at the bottom of your toolbar and it will enable chat for you. Yeah, and so that's how you work it. And go ahead and leave it open and use it.
We have some answers coming in. Oh yeah, those. Oh, and I'm going to say what they are, but not right now. But yeah, we hear you. Again, I think that we have had all those and more, but I would say them out loud. So again, if you haven't, jump into the chat bar and tell us your biggest struggle with kids, because then as we talk through this workshop, we can actually address them directly. So some of the struggles that we hear most often from our clients are getting them to turn the devices off once they've started. Yeah, that's familiar. And dealing with the constant request to be online, right? Like, it's not like they request all the time and they're bugging you to read a book. And the emotional meltdowns and screaming fits. Again, I think the way kids have emotional meltdowns changes as they get older, but they're one and the same. And this is a huge one, displaces other healthy activities like sleep, sports, things like that, and reading. And another one is understanding what these kids are doing online, because it's a dynamic environment, landscape, right? So Snapchat is the belle of the ball. It used to be Instagram. They're not on Facebook. What are they doing online? And enforcing time limits. So those are some of ours. And then, we see you giving in more to that.
Yeah, those are great struggles. Great struggles. I like the belle of the ball.
Okay.
So tell us about your fears for your kids' future. Type them in that chat bar. And while you're typing away, here's what folks in response to our recent online survey have said. The big ones: depression and anxiety. Lost family
I'll say
time.
it after you say what. I'll make that come up after you say what our survey has said.
Okay.
Then I'll put it in.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, where the dots are. Depression and anxiety. That's huge. Lost family time. That's a big one. We're going to talk more about that too. No social skills. Yeah, and the more tech they use, it seems like their social skills go down because they're not practicing it in real life. Can't get homework done. That's a huge one. And for people that have younger kids and they don't really have homework assignments, believe me, it's on the horizon. So you can get ahead of that. and negative behaviors in general. A lot of that is exacerbated by loss of sleep. And again, we'll talk about loss of sleep specifically a little bit later. Those are big ones.
Yeah, homework and tech. That's something to look forward to.
See, homework, yeah, lots of people are talking about homework.
Yeah. Oh, so should you be worried? Well, in a word, heck yeah. There's a woman named Jean Twenge. She's a professor of psychology at San Diego State University.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been studying intergenerational change for years. She wrote a book in 2017 called iGen, and it's got a very long title that I won't go over now, but her claim then was, we're on the brink of the worst mental health crisis in decades. Now, there's a subset of people who are challenging that conclusion based on the fact that the data is actually correlational, because the iPhone, the dates, we don't simply have enough long-term data to document that risk. And I'm not going to say that, whatever. Anyway, should you be worried? Well, yes. Tristan Harris, if you haven't heard of him, used to work as an ethicist at Google. And his job was to align the interests of the persuadee, who is the persuader, who's the advertiser, with the persuadee, who's the consumer, right? So that in an advertising supported model, unfortunately, those two things cannot be ethically aligned. So his job was to steer the thoughts and actions of 2 billion people's minds every day. And he understood the gravity of that job, and so he left. And he started 2 nonprofits to align humanity in technology's goals. And one of them, Time Well Spent, and then the next one is the Center for Humane Technology. And he states quite clearly, digital media is engineered to hijack our psychological vulnerabilities. So again, across the board, adults and children.
Yep. Yes, and Tristan Harris, he talks about the slot machine effect. When you refresh your email, or when you're scrolling on Instagram to see what new email or photos you'll get, your brain is flooded with that same chemical reward as what happens during gambling. It's the dopamine is what that reward. And the apps and websites, they're intentionally engineered to offer that intermittent variable reward process, very much like the slot machine effect. So why do the tech giants do this? Well, it's very simple, because it keeps us as consumers online and scrolling away. They don't care if it's your 2-year-old child or if it's grandma that's over there scrolling on Instagram, right? We all do it. We're all human. We all buy into it. And so it's good for their business, but it's bad for us.
Indeed. So, and the long-term health effects, again, I mentioned the Jean Twenge information was correlational, but 2017 is yesterday's news. Now, the good news is the National Institutes of Health announced in late 2018 a study to get statistically relevant scientific proof of the harm that we are looking at. And the study is $300 million, 11,000 children, 9 and 10 years old, across 21 sites. And they're conducting brain scans on these kids around their use of social media. So the initial results are chilling, to say the least, which is the premature thinning of the cortex, which is the part of the brain that processes the senses, and lower test scores on thinking and language. So those things it might seem innocuous at first because they're not a presenting problem, but as you can imagine, over time, that would be tragic. So the point is, we don't know the long-term effects. Our kids are an experiment in history, but they do say we're in the midst of a natural, uncontrolled experiment on the next generation of children. Scary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Another major health organization is also concerned about those long-term risks of technology. The World Health Organization has now classified cell phone radiation as a group 2B carcinogen. That's something that can cause you to get cancer. The radio waves from Wi-Fi and cell phones are new forms of energy, right? And we don't fully understand its impact. We do know, though, that there are greater risks to children because they have the thinner developing skulls. Make sense? Right. So yet little or nothing has been done to reduce that exposure and to educate people on these health hazards and this type of radiation. So just as we had said about the different studies, we know that there's something going on, and just because there's not presenting problems today doesn't mean that we won't see those presenting problems somewhere down the line.
Yes, it's like environmental toxins you've heard of. This is one of them.
Yep.
Okay.
So managing kids and screens and parenting in the screen age is like the wild, wild west. There's no defined rules, and it's uncharted territory. So who here, tell me in chat, who here agrees with that? Type me in the chat box. Me. You're not the only one, believe me.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yes, we see you. Thanks. So let me tell you a story. About 5 years ago, like many of you, I invited all these devices into my home. Who knew, right? That what started with the Kindle and the iPhone and the tablet and then the connected TV and the everything all at once. But for us, by the summer of 2015, my family was drowning in electronics. Then, but the thing that was Pandora's box for us was the Xbox. My then 14-year-old boy became consumed. We saw him quickly go from showing signs of addiction. I don't know why I can't talk. He started lying about the use and hiding devices and staying up late. And frankly, it got really bad where he stopped even getting up to go to the bathroom. So we tried everything, and this list might seem familiar to you. We tried rules limiting tech use. He didn't listen. We tried device-based control settings, and it was all the devices were different and overwhelming. Oh God, my phone. We tried Wi-Fi limits, but then there's offline play, and these kids are smart. They start installing private VPNs to override our Wi-Fi. Then there's parent policing. Oh, who doesn't love that? You know, staring down your kids, and it's exhausting. And then we result in the good old popular yelling and screaming. But as we all know, the relationship quickly deteriorates. So our family was falling apart. Really, our home was a battle zone. We felt defeated and victimized, angry. We were seriously afraid for our son's future. So finally, we had to just admit that tech isn't going away. So the problem isn't going to leave. It's only going to get worse. And we didn't have the knowledge to do this by ourselves. We just didn't know what to do. It wasn't in our parenting toolbox. And so we really needed a reboot. So we thought, oh God, what can we do? You know, desperate times. We were at the end of our rope. You know, for substance abuse, they have rehab. But what are you going to do when the kid is addicted to video games? It was surprising how hard it was to find a solution. So we thought, oh, what is it? Boarding school, more family therapy? Should we send them to boot camp? Desperate times call for desperate measures. So we chose a 28-day wilderness program for kids struggling with alcohol, drugs, and other substance abuses. My son was the youngest one there, and he was the only one that had an addiction or problem with video games. But it was family-centered and more than just resolving destructive behaviors. And I'll never forget the sigh of relief that I felt returning from the airport when we dropped him off. It was like a weight was lifted that we were all carrying. And of course, we wanted a quick fix. Just get them off video games. This is $20,000. Just fix them. You know, give us a prescription for change so we can all live happily ever after. That's what we wanted. But unfortunately, that wasn't what happened. They weren't going to fix the problem for us. The last part of the program was a family reintegration where we got the same education that the kids had gotten, and we all reflected on the role in our conflict. We had to reframe our thinking about the challenge, right? And then we had to recommit all of us to change behaviors and realign our communication so we understand each other's needs. We all needed to reboot. So we wrote down what our goals are as a family, and we started the basics of an understanding, an agreement, a contract, if you will. So then we had a plan, right? The epiphany, though, that came out was really a single tool that they gave us to extend the value of the experience. A tool that combines lessons on work that, I have to redo this slide. And then this tool is something that this totally does not. We finally had a workable plan. We thought, and see, this is totally messed up. I can do this without the freaking narrative. I hate it. Okay. Best laid plans. You know the old saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Sherry doesn't like the God thing. We had a family vacation. So after that, here we are in the serene environment. So remind me, I have to change whatever number slide. 23 and 24 I have to change. And we were in the serene environment, and we had a family vacation plan where we were all in one house. So I am one of 4 girls. My kids have 6 cousins, my parents, we were all staying in one house. And I had warned them. I said, okay, this device thing, you guys got to take those devices away. Well, that didn't happen. So we had to adjust our short-term contract and make it adjust to real life, because you really can't control anyone around you, and you never will. So we adjusted it over time. And then over the years, we really had to keep adjusting it. We had to keep adjusting it as he entered high school based on the time of year, because again, the summer use of screens is different than, the way that we're going to manage it later on. And we had it really began to kick in and really work. Everything got a lot easier. And we started testing it with friends and family, and they found it really helpful. So what did I gain? This one has to come before the last something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we had talked about
Okay. So, and was it worth it? Yes. We lost some things and we gained some things. We lost confusion over, over what to do, and we lost reacting to everything and threatening and hiding and yelling and screaming and fighting. And what we gained, though, was confidence that we were doing the right thing. We had a shared vocabulary to discuss screens and screen usage over time. We had a structure in place to handle when they slip up, and our relationships improved. And we're able to balance tech and life in ways that we weren't before. We feel like our influence over the kids actually has increased because they trust us and they know that we're not just there to take those devices away. And frankly, I felt prepared to leave a legacy for my kids. Is it worth it? Absolutely. My son turned 18. He applied for college. He's waiting on the applications. And most important, we understand each other's wants and needs. And he feels like I could trust him, and I do. So your family is worth it. You just need to stay true to your beliefs, and you only need to change yourself and your family. And then I thought, I kept getting approached by others. See how this doesn't make sense? So I kept getting approached by other people, asked how I solved this problem. So I started working on it with some friends, and it turns out it's not just my family. The solution worked for a lot of different people. So I called my friend Sherry to see if she wanted to maybe work on this project with me and help others.
So Marisa said she had this wonderful, magical tool that really solved her kids' and screens problem. And did I want to work on this project with her to help other parents, like she said? And I said, yeah, that sounds really interesting. Although I was a little bit skeptical. This is a huge, big problem. Some of us have this intricate story like Marisa had just told about her son, and it's like, that's crazy. And some of us still have struggles. They may not be at that monumental point, but it's still really, really important. So I was intrigued at the same time. I thought if there's something that I could do to help my own kids and ease the tech battles in my house, then I'm going to give it a try. And then if I can turn around and help other people, that's even better. So the first question that Marisa asked everyone when she starts talking to them about it is,
does your kid sleep with their phone?
And I was stumped. I said, I don't know. And guess what? When you say, I don't know, it means they are.
And
they are sleeping with a phone.
I forgot. I got to say, does your kid sleep with the phone in the room? Because sometimes people feel like cuddling, and that's not it. Okay, go.
Sleeping. So I hadn't thought about this before, but it is really, really important. So I'm going to turn around and ask all of you. Now, remember, my kid used to sleep with his phone. How many people out there, let's put it in chat, have kids at home that have a phone in their bedroom at night? Okay? Yep. Go ahead and put it in chat. And while you guys are answering, yep, we're starting to see lots of people saying yes, yes, yes. Some of you are saying no, and that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all going to be in different places, and most kids do have phones in their rooms at night, and sometimes a lot of adults do too. But second question I'm going to ask you, how many of your kids are getting good enough quality sleep on a consistent basis? Okay, this is huge. There's a lot of kids out there aren't getting enough sleep, and it's going to range based on their age and their individual needs. Anywhere from 8 hours is the minimum, especially for older kids, all the way up to 12 hours at night for the younger kids, or, you know, there may even be some teenagers out there that do need 12 hours a night as well. So yeah, there's a lot of kids out there that aren't getting enough good quality sleep. So what do you all see as parents when your kids don't get enough good quality sleep? How do they behave? What type of behaviors do you see the next morning? Throw those out there in chat. And so while you're doing that, what we see a lot is irritability, lack of motivation, like I don't care. And that's beyond the typical adolescent, I don't care, you know, type mode they go into. Lower empathy, this is huge. Inability to focus, memory lapses, yep, I'm seeing that in chat, and impaired judgment, as if a developing brain needs any more impairment in their judgment. So that's where I started. I wanted to conduct a test in my home, as I told you. So I started in my 17-year-old son's bedroom. My son, Sam, he is an athlete. He's a high school athlete. He's in multiple sports, and that's really where he spends a lot of, that's where his life is. That's what's very important to him. So I sat down with Sam, knowing this and keeping this in mind, and just started having a conversation with him, short and sweet, about the cause and effect of his getting a good night's sleep and technology, and his use of technology in his room at night. And how that might affect his basketball game the next day or in 2 days. And then I just point blank asked him, why is it that you do have your phone on your bedside table at night? And he said, well, Mom, it's my alarm clock. And that's going to be their answer. That's always their sole answer. And I said, well, you know what? If you're willing and able to remove these devices from your room, I'm going to gift you and I don't know why I have this in my closet, my 1980s Sony alarm clock. It looks horrendous, but boys don't care, and it works perfectly well. And if you don't have one of those, which I'm imagining most of you don't have this lovely model, you can go down to your local drugstore and buy one for your teenager or son or daughter for $5. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about sleep and this epidemic. Sleep is a really important, and sleep deprivation is the most common threat to kids' mental health. So you may be asking, what does this have to do with screens? Well, actually a lot. Sleep deprivation is due to kids being on social media and talking to one another and chatting in their room at night, and it's an epidemic. Kids even actually have a name for it. It's called vamping, like vampires, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, we all live with a little vampire. That's fabulous. And some of the reasons that they do it are many, but the top ones are, it's because it's there. They will stay up all night talking to their friends because we let them do it. Secondly, it's peer pressure. So all the other kids are up doing it, or even a couple, well, they want to connect with their friends. And so if the other kids are out there, they're going to do it too. And last, it's designed to be addictive. And the kids, their brains aren't prepared to deal with that. So after having this conversation with my son, I had some outcomes, and I even did some other things within my family about setting boundaries around technology. So here's a picture of me with my sons, one big one little one, and I don't look that short because my older son is 6'4". He's what I like to call a man-child. But my teen, he is now getting better sleep as a result. I don't go in and police him. He sleeps without his technology at night when he's going to bed, he takes it and puts it into another room and does the charging in another room. And it's just become a habit for him. And that's the modeling. He's also modeling this positive behavior for his younger brother. So for anyone that has more than one child, you know that the older one can greatly influence the younger ones, whether they know it or want to acknowledge it, they do. It also opened the door to future conversations about tech life choices with both of my kids. My older son and I even listened to a sleep podcast the other day and had a conversation about it and just kind of reinforced that what we were doing was the right thing. So I feel that I can positively influence my kids about balancing tech. And I don't think I really felt like that before. And I was sold on this approach that this can work for me and it can also work for other parents. Marisa, she showed me her method and gave me the tools and to support to create change in my house. And each time I've tried to implement something new, I've been successful. And guys, there's nothing special about me, right? I'm just a mom going along, trying to do the best that I can do. And when I was given the tools and the support to try to implement change to make our life better, I could do it. And I'm convinced that if I can do it, that you guys can too.
Great.
And after all of this time and energy spent on our own families, there are certain truths that we discovered about screen age parenting, and we like to call them the 3 counterintuitive truths.
Yep. So the truth number 1, screen age parenting is different. My intuition, I kind of thought I could raise my kids with 90% of the same approach that I was modeled when I was young. I brought up, and parenting hasn't changed that much, but no, it actually has. It's almost changed entirely. Digital devices have transformed the way we work and play and learn. They've transformed birthday parties when you see all the kids running around, centered around a device versus playing outside. The way we capture memories, we used to have that single-use camera, and our social connections. We're the first generation of parents with a low-tech childhood raising digital natives. So it's an incredible challenge, and we can stop feeling bad. It is a whole new ball game.
As kids grow up, so counterintuitive truth 2 is parents still have the power. But as kids are growing up, parents can feel their power eroding and our influence eroding. I want to ask you guys, who here feels like your kid would rather listen to anyone else but you? Go ahead and type me, right? There are some days where I feel like that, and I feel sometimes as a parent defeated, right? But the truth is we still have the power. Your kid is not going to come to you and say, oh, mom, you have such influence over me. When you do that, it makes me want to do it. They're not going to come out and tell you that. But guess what? They do. You can have influence how tech shows up at your house. You can have positive discussions with your kids to enhance your relationship. And the tech is pervasive, and our kids, they feel entitled to it. But we can do something about that.
Yep. And truth number 3, really, it's a low-tech solution for a high-tech problem. My intuition told me that, hey, this tech problem is so pervasive, I can't do it on my own. I'm going to definitely need an app or a gadget or a robot. But the truth is, it's really a low-tech solution that handles this high-tech problem. Now, there was a whole industry that emerged trying to solve this problem for us in an app or some other version, an app or a gateway or something, and we've tried them all. And I can assure you, they will not fix your problem. What will fix it is back to the basics, modeling and mentoring. Family values control how digital media influences your thoughts and actions. And it's all wrapped up in a low-tech tool.
So you may be wondering, what the heck is this tool we keep talking about? Is Tony Robbins here? Is he going to jump out of the cake? Well, actually, I would kind of enjoy that, but no. And here's some hints. Maybe you can guess. This tool, it controls how digital media influences your family's life. It can also help create limits and adoption of new tech habits. And it establishes a common language around tech use. So does anybody have a guess? You can go ahead and type it into the chat bar. Well, no, it stumps everybody. Well, does anybody here want to know more about it? Type me in the chat bar right now.
Yep.
Great. All right.
So it's as simple as a screen contract. Oh, remember my story when I didn't feel like I had the knowledge and needed to fix, to address our situation? Well, it's as simple as a family screen contract. What's that? Well, it's a written agreement between parents and kids to govern the way the family uses screens. Remember, it's going to help you control technology, create new healthy tech use habits, and give you a common language to negotiate your differences. It sounds simple, but as someone who's been working on it for 5 years, it does get a little tricky. So I see that doesn't make sense to say it's tricky before this slide here. Okay, so, and all my friends wanted a contract, so I sent it to him, thinking, okay, if it worked for me, it's going to work for them. And it turns out, it sounds simple, but it does get a little tricky. And they needed more. So I thought to myself, well, why isn't it helping everyone?
Yeah, let's be real here. A contract itself, it's simply a piece of paper. That's all it is. Really, what it is it's a vessel. And that vessel, you and your family will take a journey in it. So it's really the journey that gets the results.
Yep, indeed. Yeah, I like how this is, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution, like most things. I love this quote. There's a woman named Anya Kamenetz. She's the lead blogger and education blogger at National Public Radio, and she wrote a book called The Art of Screen Time, How Your Family Can Balance Digital Media and Real Life. This also was in 2017, but a little bit later, and it's very, very, very well written. She says, why doesn't this, oh, okay, what did I do there? Okay. Why isn't it? Well, I like her quote. The information isn't getting to parents in a way they can understand and use. Parenting in the digital age is nuanced and personal, not something to be solved with an app or a phone control.
So how do we take this journey together as a family in a way that will work? Let's talk about how to make that screen contract work for you guys. We realize every family is different, and you need to be able to customize your journey to fit your needs. So we do it using the 5 W's: the who, what, where, when, and why. Okay, so who? Well, it's got to be the whole family. Wouldn't it be great if we could just have the kids change and we didn't have to change as well? Well, most people have tried that approach, as did we, and it doesn't work. So it's the whole family. And when I say the whole family, I mean co-parents, babysitters, grandparents, if there's caretakers, au pairs. It's really got to be everyone who's influencing this kid on a daily basis. And it's got to be a two-way agreement. You got to involve the child in the agreement, or if not, they're not going to buy in. It sets the tone for a partnership. And especially important when the kids hit puberty, they want to know that they have a say in the solution. And now there's the what. So let's define what. What devices are managed? Kids are kind of sneaky, okay? And I never did redo this part. Shit, I have to redo slide 44. So it may sound crazy that I have to list devices, but remember, kids are smart. And like, for instance, remember when the Kindles were a hot gift for the e-readers? But then they put in the Kindle Fire, they give you the whole internet with it. I can tell you I think it was like one day where my kids, no more e-readers, and they were accessing games and all this other stuff. So it's basically, you got to say what devices it governs. And that would be any device that enables access to digital media. And what screens? Again, all digital media is not created equal. You really have to distinguish between entertainment and productivity. When I glance at my teenager and he's laughing at his statistics homework, chances are he's tabbed over to YouTube. Yeah, and I've never ever laughed at statistics homework. The where. Why is it important to define where tech should be used? Well, it's pretty simple. It's to protect the sacred areas in your home. The easiest way to create that type of protection is to create no-go zones. So no devices in your sacred areas. In my house, that means no devices at the dinner table, no devices in the bedroom, and no tech use in the bathrooms. So those are our device-free zones.
And then again, we need to know the when. When and for how long is it okay to use screens? For instance, what are the no-go times? Like the dinner table is a no-go. It's not, I have to redo this slide. I don't know what happened. I guess I got off the slide fixing. For when it's not okay to use devices. So for instance, if my daughter can't get out the door in the morning, she's having trouble being on time, there's no social media in the morning. And yeah, I did that. Also, you have to be clear about the overall length of time that screens are used. Some of the landmines are not distinguishing between entertainment and productivity media and allowing the two types of things, tasks, to mush together. For instance, if kids are doing homework while their text notifications on and streaming tabs are open and Snapchat is beeping away, then they're going to be on for a lot longer because they're not efficient, not getting their homework done. Ugh.
And you may be asking, why is this obvious? But it is super important is the why. Our kids need to live with technology, the push and pull that you feel for their entire lives, right? This requires their buy-in, and they need to be able to identify with the solution that your family agrees to. You need to be, as a parent, you need to be able to explain to your kids why these limits matter to you and to your family. So we need to be reframing screens, again, as a privilege and not a right. And the earlier you can do this, guys, the easier it's going to be for you as a parent. I know, it's never too late to start. So even for those of you that have older kids, start today, right? If you can start saying that privilege, not a right thing, and model that. And also focusing on things that they care about and are important to the family. So remember, I talked to my son about his sports performance and sleep, cause and effect. And that's something that's important to him. And so he listened to what I had to say. So you need to meet them where they are. So this increases the odds of getting the buy-in from all members of the family, not only the kids, but your parenting partners too.
Right tech, right time, all the right reasons.
Yeah. I didn't even do that. Yeah.
Meet Dan, but we took this out.
Okay.
So,
hi, Dan. So let's check in and review what we covered so far. We've shared our stories, and hopefully you found some nuggets of wisdom in them, and maybe even seen some of your own struggles and what we have shared as well. We confirmed your suspicions. You know those gut feelings that you feel that not everything's right and you think tech might have something to do with it, but you're not sure? Well, we've confirmed those suspicions with facts from experts in the field and with studies, with medical studies and the health organizations. We have revealed our 3 counterintuitive truths to parenting in the screen age. So with those myths, they could lead you down that wrong path. We've also shared our most powerful tool in our parenting toolbox. And we've demonstrated all of this at a fairly high level of how it works, because we only have so much time today and we want to share as much as possible. So we have so much more to share with you, such as what to do with how it works. Okay. Yeah.
It's a simple path to success.
Wow.
So if this resonated with you, and you've tried this on your own, or you tried an app or a book, you know you need help, we're 100% confident we can help you. Now, we haven't even told them what it is, and now we're saying we can help you. We have something. Where you want to hear more about it, we've done all the hard work for you. So gang, first of all, we've read all the books, okay? All the new books, the new studies that come out, I mean, if it's one day old and it's on topic and has some relevant information to managing kids in digital media, we're on it.
Mhm.
Okay. The weird thing is, it's not possible to stay up on all of this stuff, yet somehow you need to. So over the last 5 years, I've been marinating the topics of teen brain development, neuroscience, parenting trends, education reform, blah, 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 blah. And we've distilled all of that information for you to make it actionable. And we bring it to you in a way that's relevant and important. We're the experts, so you don't have to be.
Mhm. And we've curated the best tech tools for you. We've tried them all between the two of us, and we can tell you what works. And more importantly, we can steer you away from all of those time wasters out there. And believe me, they're out there. And we can recommend the right ones for you, not as the solution, but as an aid to the solution.
So it's 2:56.
Yeah.
Do you have to go?
Let me check traffic. So let's keep
Okay.
going while I'm doing traffic.
And we've created customizable templates to turn the lessons into action. We've worked with curriculum designers and teachers to make it easy to understand and use.
And you'll get access to us. Believe me, there's no shortage of people out there posting videos and blogging do-it-yourself solutions, but that's not how we work. We want to know you, first name basis, and we want to know about your kid issues so that we can help you. We'll answer your specific challenges, we'll review the best tools and aids for you, and we'll help negotiate with your partner, help you negotiate with your partner. And we're going to help you wrangle those kids through puberty. And we're always here to help you.
And add it all up, and you get the first realistic solution to create lasting change. So how are you going to do this? Well, ideally, Sherry and I would move in with you for a month.
Yeah. Tomorrow? Is that good with you? Okay.
But that's not realistic.
Yeah.
So we're giving you the next best thing. The most recent information and tools, we're experientially walking it through it with you. And one of the most powerful things we enable is a community of like-minded parents who are committed to this tech life balance. So the three pillars are information and tools, we work in the trenches with you, and a powerful community of parents supporting you towards the same goal. It's really magical. So together we can have much more impact on our own homes and with the schools, communities, and society in which we live. Essentially, we help turn knowledge into power, into action and power, powerful action.
So imagine you had knowledge from getting all the best information out there. Imagine that you're confident and that comes from knowing that you're on the right path instead of just wandering out there. And you have coaching that you can fall back on at any time when you need it. And that you're supported and that comes from a community that never lets you down and and never let you forget that you're not alone out there. There's strength in numbers, folks. So in the chat, now imagine that you had all of that. Do you guys think that you could be successful in protecting your child from the worst parts of digital influence? Type me right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's nice. Great.
Yes.
I know,
I've seen
you
that.
can.
We feel empowered. I'm feeling empowered.
We're skipping beat, Bridget.
Bye, Bridget.
Bye, Bridget. So, again, what's your legacy worth? There's a great book by a guy named Greg McGowan who wrote a book called Essentialism. And he said, we should all be living from our 100-year narrative. We've lost the narrative of now. So I'd love to tell you this process was easy, but it's not. And the fact that we're still working on it as we meet the daily challenges in our lives with kids and screens. And again, but when you think about it this way, instead of thinking what will matter in 1 year, or 10 years, or tomorrow, or right now, he suggests that we need to focus as parents, what's going to matter in a year or 10 years or when I die, okay? What's going to matter in 100 years or 300 years that still matters today? Well, that's our kids, right? So we know many of you are feeling overwhelmed with work and life, but it's that
Don't die.
But we give you the confidence. You're doing the hard work to raise focused, confident kids in the screen age, no matter how many distractions society throws at them. And that, my friends, is your most important legacy. If you're a parent that thinks your child is the most important legacy, type legacy into the chat box. Let's see. Yeah, all right. We think so too. Yes, yes. Okay.
Yay.
And is it worth it? Well, listen, our family 5 years later is so different. I look at these kids and I can't believe it. We don't have to fight about baseline rules for tech use. You know, they plug the phones in the kitchen and don't use it in the bathroom. They've internalized our values and they're self-regulating distractions. They still make mistakes, but we have a language to talk about it. And we have a deep-seated ethos of connection versus isolation. And this all happened in the middle of going through an amicable divorce. Not just saying that because they're my kids, but because we've gone through something together. And a clip from Blaze that we think we're skipping now. And what happened there?
I don't know. I feel like that.
I don't know. Honestly,
That's weird.
I can't tell you. Well, when are you going to leave? Because this whole section is the worst part for us that we have to work on. But
No.
what?
I got like 2 minutes, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I
well,
like,
it's,
do
yeah.
flip flop.
No, it's not. I mean, we might as well just stop because,
Okay,
I mean, this
let's
whole,
stop.
it's the whole section.
All right.
So hold on. Close caption. Wait, stop
It's a wrap.
recording. Stop share.
It's a wrap.
Okay.
Okay.
End meeting.
Okay.